Come on, let's go back.
So we're heading back to the cabins. We're going to check out the other side of them so we can see how they look. This is the Potomac River once again, and it's really quite low right now, so we're walking around down essentially underneath the cabins. If you want to see the way the cabins look from this side, you want to look at the last video that we posted. And
Come on, go.
if you want to see the front side, you can probably just skip ahead. If you're just like wanting to just see the cabins, you don't really care about seeing the rest of the Potomac from this other view.
Hi. Come on. Nope, this way. Up. Hi.
Like I mentioned in the last video, this is a unique area of land. Essentially, the border of Virginia is where the water ends. So right there, she stepped into Maryland for a second. In most states, the border is in the center of the river, so it's pretty stationary. However, the way that Virginia has her laws written, this that we're on right now, the land is Virginia, and the water is Maryland. But obviously the water moves as the water line goes up and down. So the area that we're in is sort of almost like a DMZ in that sometimes it's Maryland and sometimes it's Virginia. It just depends on where the water is. This is Potomac River right here on our left, and we're on the edge of the Algonkian Regional Park, which is part of Nova Parks. And we're specifically underneath the cabins, so the cabins all overlook this area. I was actually expecting to find quite a few little paths that came down from the cabins down to this area, and I didn't find any. For the most part, the path to get down here is actually right at the entrance between cabin 1 and the parking lot. There were not really any paths right from the cabin, so if you were in, like, say, cabin number 7 or cabin number 8, one of the ones on the end, you'd have to walk all the way, like for 5 minutes to the first cabin, and then you could get down here. And this is the first school day, so summer's over. There's no kids out here, and it's on a weekend, so there's no fishermen or anything. There's only one boat out on the Potomac right now that you can see. If you look really carefully, it's in the water on the other side, near the other coastline, and some people out there fishing.
Come on, go. Come on, leave it. Come on. Come on. Oh, there's a path finally.
So I actually found a path up to the cabins. I don't know how easy it is to actually go up that one.
Come on.
That's the first path that I've seen to get up to the cabins outside of the entrance that's well past cabin 1 near the parking lot. So this is a path that I was saying that is between cabin 1 and the parking lot to get back up to the road. So this is what the little paths normally look like when the water line is higher. Normally they're just like kind of like between the brush, like little tiny foot trails. And normally people are like up here looking down on the river. They're not down all the way on the water's edge. They have all these convenient little benches that have names on them from, I believe, donations. So this is cabin 1 up here, and they're numbered off one by one. In the last video, we actually looked up at the cabins, so you could see what they look like from the bottom. And as you can see, they're not really like cabins per se. I think they call them cottages. They're more like full houses. I mean, I don't know exactly what's inside of them, but it looks like, I mean, it's like 2 baths and like 3 or 4 bedrooms and a kitchen. I mean, they're pretty substantially sized. That path there on the left actually goes to the water park. You can't really drive up to it, but you could walk straight to the water park. So they're pretty big, and they're pretty well spaced out. Maybe that's 100 feet, 150 feet between them. Cabin 1, cabin 2, cabin 3 on the left. They're not all exactly the same too. Some of them are larger than other ones, and some of them are shaped a little bit differently. They have picnic branches. They look like handicapped accessible on some of them, where they have ramps coming up to them instead of steps. But they don't all have ramps. That one has a ramp, obviously, but I think that's cabin number 3. But some of them are just steps. As you can see right now, it looks like only really one of them is occupied. That was a deer in front of us on the left, actually. I don't know how close we will get to the deer, but in this park at least, they seem like they get pretty close. That's a laundromat. I'm assuming that since they have a laundromat, that means that there's probably no washer and dryer inside the cabins. The cabins have slightly different models. That one's like kind of tall. The one on the left is a little bit kind of fatter. One has a wraparound on porch. The other one doesn't. As you can see, they have a really quite wonderful view. I mean, I know these are kind of pricey to rent, but you get a lot for what you're renting. I mean, look how big that deck is. The deck over there. You can look inside. It's like a really great view. And there's a one walkway that I found when I was walking down there. I thought there was no access from up here, but apparently like that is like the only way to get down. So there's a couple more cabins down here. and then there's just a turnaround spot, and it basically just dead ends. I think that's cabin number 7 right there, so it looks like there's maybe like 10 or 12 cabins here. They're pretty big.
Come on. Come on, come on.
The other thing to keep in mind is since this road doesn't really go anywhere other than the cabins, and they have signs up that say you're not really supposed to drive back here, it's pretty secluded. You don't really have that much traffic coming back here. You know, there's not really cars driving by or anything. Obviously, over where the boat launches, in the video, one of the earlier videos, there'd be quite a bit more traffic. So this is a nice little area to go if you just want to, you know, get away from everybody. So this is Algonkian Regional Park, part of Nova Parks in Northern Virginia, near the Potomac River, Sterling, Virginia. In one of the next videos, we'll explore a different part of the park. This has been mostly just the area around the cabins.
Grace.